So, welcome to the podcast, Rudy. We're very excited to have you. In 30 to 60 seconds, how would you describe it is what you do?
God. Well, honestly, uh, I think the best way to describe is sometimes I'll plan my day for a lot of things, but I end up doing something completely different, and I think that really is like what happening when you actually trying to start your own business, right? People say that you have your control over your schedule, but the truth is you don't. And I used to be a CPA, and now I'm a cook, and I run a ramen shop in Chicago, and yeah, I really love it.
It's a Rudy's Ramen in Chicago. So, I don't know how many there accountants turned ramen shop owners there are. So, we're very excited to talk to one. So, before we get into your story, we like to kick things off with a little bit of rapid fire questions, just to get things moving. So, first one, what is your favorite movie or movie you've watched the most?
Oh, Rudy, definitely
Rudy?
Rudy. Yeah, yeah.
Just because the name or what? Are you just
Well,
like
I just like the guy, I mean, I also love the movie, because I think it represents many of us that we don't have the best talents, we don't have the best body shape, or nor the background, but like many of us, we work really hard toward our dream and try to make something happen, so that's actually one of the reasons why I named my name is Rudy, because my original Chinese name is Rudong, but
okay?
but because of the movie, I like the name Rudy, so that's why I'm Rudy now. Anyway, that's probably a long
I love
question.
it.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
no, no.
long
That
answer to your
um,
question.
I might say that's the best answer we've had to this question. So I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really have like a firm answer, but you knew right away. So much so that's inspired your name. So I love it. So do you
Yeah.
have a favorite book or book that inspired you?
Oof, honestly, I mean, I don't really read as much as I should, to be honest, I don't want to come up one that is I don't feel really comfortable. I think I this probably sounds a little bit bad, but I learn more from watch videos, I think, like yeah.
Trust me, this is not a book podcast. You're hanging around the right guy. When you need to, or I guess the next question was, are you a podcast guy? And if so, do you have a favorite podcast you like to listen to?
Well, honestly, I also don't hear too much podcasts, to be honest. But like from time to time, that for school, I actually do need to hear some podcasts, and I actually get a lot of from it because I think a lot of time, it's not very long, and you get a lot out of the podcast, and so it's very informational. Yeah. Well, maybe not quite ready will be my favorite podcast.
If you received a $20,000 grant for your business, what would you do with it?
Ah, well, that's a really great question. Oh God, I'm not prepared for this. This is great
Yeah.
question. Honestly, there are a lot of things that really I can do. I would really say I will probably use that to expand the new business because currently I think we're all set internally. We just spend some money to get some new furnitures. If anything, that I'm really hoping to use the money to expand on the new location. Just because sometimes like we're really busy at the shop, I just feel like the demand is a little bit stronger than than what we can supply. So I think, and then opening a new location just costs so much money. So I would say, if I have 20 grand more, like I'll probably use it for the new location.
I say so. That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
When you need to lock in and do some work and really get in the zone, do you have like a process? Do you put on music? Do you noise canceling headphones? What's the process?
That's a really, really great question. Because I think literally sometimes like I will try to do things, but then so many things will come up. So what I currently do right now, if I really need to focus, I'll literally just put my phone away, like not even on this do not disturb or anything. Like I just completely put my phone away because I know if I put it on my side, I will tend to grab it. And you know how like whether you sometimes, oh, let's take a 5 minutes break or whatever, become like a 30 minutes or whatever, which definitely happened in the past. So I'm like, all right, I just put the phone away. I just put literally like put the phone really away from my desk that I can't really grab it. So
Yeah.
that's what I do when I have to focus.
And what about when you need to lock out? Because as an entrepreneur, you're probably pretty busy. Do you have any hobbies or anything that you do that kind of gets your mind off work?
To be honest, like right now, I don't really have too much time for myself. The only time that I have is probably Sunday, honestly, to go see my family. Um, my nephew, my nieces, love to spend time with them because they're just so innocent, right?
Yeah.
You know, they don't know. I mean, like they're in school, right? Like when you talk with a teenager, right? Because I think their mind are just so pure. They're not really thinking about like uh like work stress and bunch of other stuff. I just found a lot of joy from talking with them.
No, these are great answers. I love it. That's the questions, so we can kind of get moving into the actual episode. So, as we touched on earlier, you run a ramen shop, Rudy's Ramen, and you were an accountant by trade before that. You did your MBA at Chicago Booth. Um, do you remember a specific moment when you were younger, or maybe when you were doing your MBA or anything like that, where you were like, I want to start a business and I want to work for myself?
Well, to be honest, I think for any entrepreneur, like I think the thoughts probably start very early in our, like maybe when we were young, right? But we just didn't know. But then I think it just as series of events happen, then we know more about ourselves, and then the belief about starting your own business become more and more strong. So for example, for me, I started having the I started having the ideas about start my own business since I was in college. You know how like social media, how it influence you. Hey, you gotta quit in college and start your own thing. Many people are successful from doing that. But then for me, like I think oftentimes, again, first of all, we didn't have the money, we didn't have the knowledge. It was very hard. So for me, I was like, yes, that was the time I started having some thoughts. But then I was like, all right, maybe I don't have a thing that I want to do now. I know I want to do something, but I didn't know what. So the idea started in college, but then it just got stronger and stronger after I started my first corporate job, and you know how it goes. Like you had a perfect month. Oh, I finally made it. Got into a firm or company that you have been dreaming about. But then only when you started working there, you realize this is not. I mean, what are you looking for? And so the idea got even stronger. I was like, this is very, very stressful. And then at that point, my new thought was, if I'm dealing with this much stress, I kind of rather to dealing the stress and doing something that I love, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was new because in college you just want to start something, but you didn't know what. But then in college, I mean, but you kind of just follow the track about continue, finish school, start your first job, and I mean a real job and stuff. But then I mean, when you start working, and then the experience tell you more. This is not what you want. And actually, I seriously decided to quit my job and start a ramen shop at one of my first job, and about 2 years in. So yeah, I mean, again, I think the series of events happening. I mean, a series of events occur make you know, hey, what do you want, and what do you want to do, and what is not for you.
Yeah. That's a really good way to look at it. Like if you're gonna be stressed, you might as well be stressed doing something you're passionate about. Because I think as someone who also has worked a corporate job, like it's not like it is probably a safer route in terms of like, yeah, if you do a good job, you're less likely to get fired. But like the guys who are senior, like you were at an accounting firm, like if you're a partner at an accounting firm, like it's not, you're not like chilling. Like you're working very, very hard. And like if you
Oh
aren't
yeah.
meeting numbers, you're getting canned. So no, I totally get that. And that's a great way to look at it. So that kind of makes sense when you came up with the idea that you, or maybe not the idea, but the feeling that you wanted to start something. How did you land on a ramen shop? Because I imagine you have heard like people will always say restaurant industry is tough. Like if you're working as an accountant, probably if I had to guess, it's similar to finance, which is kind of my world. But like when people who work in finance or accounting, when they quit, they go start like a small boutique accounting firm, boutique financial advisory firm. There's not too many people who are going to go from corporate job to restaurant business. So what made you land on that and gave you the courage to pursue it?
Sure, sure, sure. That's a really great question. I'm gonna try to break things down because it was a quite a mental process, and also from experience wise, I mean, I got to where I am today. So again, back in college, you just want to start something, and part of it, I think you want to start a business because like entrepreneur, what I mean, all the successful story and stuff like that. So um when about right now it's 2026. Yeah, about 10 years ago. Again, I think started like as soon as like I realized corporate job was not for me, so I started exploring many different things. So for example, like I try to involve in real estate, and I also like try to involve in cannabis business. For example, 2020 was the year. I think if I was right, 2020 January 1st, it was the first day that cannabis become legal. You know, and I just thought it was quite an opportunity. So a few friends and I, we actually started doing research about like open a dispensary. You know, and but again, it was a very, very complicated and tedious process. We made to the final round, but we didn't really make it happen. Just because if you don't get the license, you can't really open the shop. Anyway, the reason why I tell you the story is because at first, I think, like I mean, a bigger part about starting your own business was because I want to make good money, you know? But then here's come to I mean, the fact, in my opinion, when you are trying to start something because you want to make money, it's really, really hard for you to continue work on it. Because the truth is, most of us would live okay without $1 million or $2 million, right? So because if you're only driven by the money, like if you then when things get hard, you just say, "Hey, this is getting too much, too hard. I can't really do it," or let's change something else. But I think when you actually working on something that you love, when you face problems, you solve them. Like you don't walk away or tell yourself, "Let's do something else." For me, like I always loved cooking since I was a kid. Literally, my mom, I will buy cooking books, but my mom, she will literally hide them from me because she didn't want me become a cook and stuff, which
Sure.
I get it. But as I grow up and stuff, I just always have a passion for food. I found a lot of joy from cooking food for others. And like my aha moment was really when I was at a ramen shop. I was during my busy season at my corporate job that when after I working about 70 or 60 hours for that week, it was a long week. So I would do have ramen, and it was so warm, so comfy, very cold outside. As I enjoyed the ramen, literally I was like, why am I wasting my time on doing something that I don't love? And that was the time that I was like, what about try to open a ramen shop? Because I love food in general. I love noodle. I love soup. I love ramen. And then I think at that time, open a ramen shop just sounds like the most, uh, uh, um, the most attractive thing ever. Imagine I cook this to customers and make them great food. Like, I mean, they're gonna be happy and stuff. So that was really how I got into the restaurant business. Because again, to summarize, just tried different things. At first, you were trying to look for opportunity that can help you make money, but then realize that's not the best way to do it because you likely to give up. And then you know as you explore different things, somehow your heart already know what you want. You just gotta listen to it. To me, I think that was the moment that my heart told me, "Hey, this is actually what you need to do."
Yeah, there's so much good stuff in that answer, but I completely agree that if you're doing it from a money perspective, and especially like the background you were in, where you had like there's a pretty clear path to making good money in the accounting industry, and like it's not unreasonable that you're up to over $500,000 by the time you're in your 40s and stuff like that. Again, that's good money, and like so if it's just from a money perspective, you're probably better off just to stay in that role. So it has to be about something more, and what you touched on about like the thought of opening a ramen shop and making people happy, and I think that's a great way to look at it. So that makes sense. It makes sense why you wanted to start a business, how you landed on the ramen shop. So when you made the decision, this is what I'm going to do, and as you put it, you listened to your heart, which again, a great way to think about it. But when you made that decision, you're like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. How did you actually take those first steps to make it happen? Like, did you come up with a business plan? Did you get, investors? Did you get other people's opinion on it? What were those early days after you made the decision that, yeah, this is what I'm doing?
Wow, yeah. Honestly, okay, if we could restart over again, if you ask me what my favorite podcast, I'm gonna definitely tell you this one is the one.
Okay. Okay. I
Because
love it.
here's the reason why. 'Cause I think it's such a great question. Because I wish I can just tell you like, hey, I know this is what I want. Like I work with this person, get a business plan, work with that person, get the money ready, and all of that. Literally, I wish I can tell you that as my answer, but the truth is, when you started, like literally, I think oftentimes you start with just an idea, right? Like many of us, we don't have the resources or the help that we needed to make an idea become an actual business. For me, when 2017, when I actually quit my job, like at that time, I was like I didn't know what to do. I was like, like, oh, where shall I start and stuff. So I was like, well, maybe let's just start working at a restaurant. I didn't have any experience at working at a restaurant. Let's just start it. Working at a restaurant. I learned the basic and stuff.
And
So
sorry, just to jump in. So you were working at an accounting firm, you quit that job, and then you worked at a restaurant?
yes, and then I didn't tell my mom until 2 months after I work at a ramen shop. Yeah, yes, because I just like, again, I didn't know anything about cooking, working at a restaurant and stuff like that. So I think the best way is to get your hands dirty and actually work on it.
So totally. And then jumping in there, what do you remember about that time? Because that's a huge move to like be like, I'm quitting a corporate job to go. I imagine there's a big pay cut. What do you remember about that time? Like, were you scared? Was it tough to tell people? How did you
Ah,
tell your bosses? Like, what was that like?
honestly, I was very, very, very scared because yeah, it was situation are very, very complicated at that time, and but I try to keep it a little bit simple. So yeah, you're 100% right. I was actually very scared because I also bought a house, within
Okay.
the same year. So I
Okay.
was like, how am I gonna make it work and stuff like that? And because like 20 2017, I was making, like okay money from the corporate job, but then, I end up making 825 per hour and work and I work. So, like of course, if I tell my mom before I make the decision, she was just try to pursue me and talk me out of it. So I couldn't find anyone that I could talk to at that time to support me. But I was like, I gotta do it. If I don't do, I mean, like at that time, I mean, right now, I mean, like get a little bit older, but that time I was pretty young, like when you're young, you're like, hey, you got nothing to lose, like, right? Worst case, like you move back with your parents and all of that, which did end up happening, just let so I quit the job and try to work at a ramen shop, try to learn as much as I could, learn the basic about, cooking food and stuff. But then, you know, but then like I was like, okay, now I learned about these, but to start a business, there's I thi- there are many, many, many more things that you gotta consider to as you mentioned, you want to have a business plan. If you don't have a written one, at least you gotta have a good step, right? You gotta have a very detailed steps on where you're gonna get your money, how you gonna do it, like how much money you gotta have in order to stay in business, because at first you don't make money on, what are you gonna sell, and what price, and all those things you gotta think very, very throughout. And at that time, honestly, I think I just didn't have those things ready. I just didn't have those things ready, and then things just became really hard because like I have mortgage on the house, and I didn't have make too much money. And then someone that I talked to was thinking to invest in the business, also had other things going on, and decided to withdraw the money. So the next thing you know, I found myself stuck. Like I'm like, if I continue to do what I do now, I will never be able to make it happen. So so I had to make a very, very difficult decision to stop working at a restaurant, and in a way, I need to get more stability in my life. Like, meaning, first of all, I need to make a little bit more money to change the situation. Second, I had a house which I was trying to sell. To just get rid of some of the debts. Third, like issues also occur during from a personal relationship perspective. So literally I just found myself as quite a loser, because like, hey, you tell the world, hey, you're quitting one of the best accounting firm, you try to start something new, but you got nothing work out, and you also mess up in the relationship. So that's why I was like, let's take a step back. And so in 2018, I found another corporate job to just, restart over, because I know I need to save money. I need to now, okay, now I need to have a plan, like what I need to do and all that stuff. So I kind of restarted over in 2018. I'll probably here. I know probably I said a lot about to answer.
No, no, I think that's a super important point too, because it takes courage to be like, I'm going to go all in, but it's like you can't just like jump off a cliff with no plan. And I think that is kind of what happens to some people. You can have the best of intentions, but if you don't, if there's external circumstances or whatever, you might have to restart, kind of like what you said. So because I know from my perspective, and like I think a ton of people can relate, that like that point in time where you're like, I told people I was going to start a ramen shop. Now I'm back to accounting. I don't know if it was like a worse accounting job than you had before or whatever. And you said you had some personal relationship stuff. Like, by what you're describing, it sounds like it was a tough moment in time.
Very much.
What, yeah, like what helped you get through that? Because I think there is, people do have to, like, you kind of just have to rely on yourself. Like you have to stop worrying about what other people think, but that's way easier said than done. So what kind of like helped you get through that moment in time?
Oh, literally, you're 100% right. I think, like that was some of darkest years of my life. I don't think I ever like hit a rock bottom, in any
Yeah.
other time of my life, I would just follow in pace, like work hard, get CPA work, and all of that, follow the corporate ladder, if anything, But that was really the time that I tried to do something, on my own, but then things ended up so poorly. But so for me, I think um many again, I'm gonna add something very quick, like many of us, right? When say that when we have a lot of stress at work, the next thing we thinking is let's exit, let's try to find something else, let's do work on, let's start our own business and all of that stuff. I think as we were young, that's totally okay, right? Because again, like when you fall, you're gonna get hurt, but it's better if you do it now than later. But anyway, for me, because it was so much stress from the corporate job, so that's why I made a quick decision to quit. That was one of the reasons why I quit the corporate job, because I'm like dealing with this much stress. I'd rather do it on my own. Anyway, to answer your question, I think for a good, I think I from November from no from December and from December 1st to December 31st, 2020, 2017. Yeah, and honestly, at that time, after I quit the restaurant, I didn't want to do anything. I was like, you know, because again, you feel ashamed about yourself. You feel like you let everyone who had confidence down. The worst part is, you know, like sometimes some people say, "Hey, I told you not to do it, man," but you don't know how to confront with them. You don't know how to face them and stuff. So at that time, I didn't want to talk with anyone. And I started just going back to some of the places that like nature. I try to went to park, just try to stay away from all the noise and stuff like that. And but eventually, I was just like, I can't, I need to get my feet back on the ground. I can start over and stuff. It's scary, but I mean, I can't, I can't let this beat me up forever. So I spent a lot of time with myself, and eventually I was like, let's just really try to pick up where you left. So that's why I decided to get a corporate job again. Just again, because at least you're able to make some money, right? You're able to pay off some of the debts, and so that was get. I think the key part is like getting things started. Just I would describe it as when you go to like sometimes you always struggle so much before you go into gym, right? But if you make your gym for the first time after you have not been going, not after you haven't gone for a long time, if you start going the first time, likely you're gonna go the second time and the third time. I think the momentum will pick up. For me, like getting a new corporate job for me it's almost like the same as going to the gym for the first time. So I was like, let's start from there and then try to plan things out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. So when you went back there and you went and got the job, I think it would probably be easy to, chalk it up to, hey, like I'm not an entrepreneur, the corporate world is for me. And then like, you kind of be like, we gave it a shot. Now I'm gonna be, partner in accounting for the next 40 years. And I think if I had to guess, that's probably happened to a lot of people. They gave entrepreneurship a shot, it didn't work out, they go back to the job, and then that's what they do, and perhaps they kind of scratch that itch and they don't have to worry about it. But what gave you the courage or like the desire to jump back in the ring? Because it's almost like you tried it once, it didn't go how you wanted, now you're back at this stable job, and I imagine things in your life probably settled down, and it's almost like you're diving back into the fire after a few years. So what gave you that drive and that desire, that calling to be like, I gotta do this?
Man, that's such a great question. I love it. I love it. Honestly, literally, I mean, it brings back a lot of old memories. You are 100% right. Like when you say like, after you get back to corporate job, sometimes just people will just settle. Literally for me, after I went back to the corporate world, guess what? I feel happier. I feel more grateful for anything I had. Because, after you compare about, like someone else, like how different it will be. You have your PTO, like like whenever you want to go to bathroom, literally you can go to bathroom. Why? What? Like when you work at a restaurant, you want to go to work, you want to go to bathroom. Sometimes you gotta hold it because you can't. It's so busy. Everyone is so busy. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom." Like trust me, the chef will not be very happy. So for me, like literally, like, at first I was very grateful that I had the job and I was traveling for work and it was very happy. And honestly, I think if my life just settled in that way, maybe there will be another good happy ending, because I think to start your business, you sacrifice so much. Like you have, especially I think at the beginning, you have no weekend. Oftentimes you will probably have to work, like 6, 7 days a week, and God knows how long like you have to do like that until like your cash flow is better, you can bring more help and stuff. So for me, um at first, like I was happy, I was good, and things were good, and I worked there for about a couple more years, and about actually another 2.5 years almost. I got very comfortable, but then like as I was eating and eating ramen and stuff like that, again for a good time that I stopped going to ramen shop because again that was that was the time. I mean, again, sometimes we don't want to confront. I mean, we don't want to face our fear, right? We want to put it in the deepest part of our heart and bury it, and never want to think it again and stuff. So for me, like I didn't want to go to ramen shop and stuff like that. But one day, like we're just having food and stuff like that. We're just I was just thinking, and the idea about again starting your own business kind of coming up again. So, but of course, I'm like, no, you tried it, it didn't work for you. Just maybe like it's not for you. But then as time progressed, the idea kind of, like I was like, man, I don't know if this is really for me. Like, Rudy, don't get too comfortable. You just think about what you told yourself a couple years ago. You just need something, way. You just need, I mean, I don't want to say rebounds, right? But this is your temporary spot. Don't get too comfortable. So, but of course, like physically and mentally and financially, I was in a much better shape at that time. So I was like, let's do it in a very strategic way, you know? So then at that time, we're talking about 2019 or 2020, around that time, the idea about going to a business school like came to me. I was like, you know, because like we sometimes you hang out with your friends and stuff like that. You heard like, hey, this person, that person went to business school, got a good corporate job or whatever. As to me, I was like, well, maybe I can go to business school and learn from there and try to see, anything. I try to see if I can start a business again. If worst case, nothing really happens, let's just, like let's pivot to finance, like more finance stuff. Because I always love finance and investment and all of that kind of stuff, all of that kind of stuff. So I was like, maybe you just spend some, like, a couple years of your time getting an MBA, but then I feel like you have more opportunities to get a new job or maybe start a business and stuff. So I went to one of the they have a I just had so I signed up on their website. Some of the program in Chicago. I signed up their program, and I actually went to U Chicago's like they have a like a 1 day program that you get there in the morning, and yeah, you get there in the morning and then you attend things and you try to see how it's like. Like on that day, again, like it was a Friday. I will never forget, because I mean, I had work to do. I was, like, but I can't really, but I have to attend for the event. Anyway, so after I went there, there are different speaker and stuff, one of the guy he was talking about how he started his own business and got some raised some fund, you know. And I love his experience, love his story. And one of the things he also mentioned, well, one of the reasons that he got the fund because I mean he's doing MBA at U Chicago. I was like, man, that's great. So the idea about getting my MBA becomes stronger, and then the next thing you know, I'm like, okay, let's study GMAT. Again, didn't like that part. But eventually I was just thinking, um, you know, like let's just progress a little bit every day and see where things leads to. Again, I'm so sorry. I probably said a lot of things to answer your question, but like as I got into MBA, you're surrounded by a lot of smart people, people who want to start their own business. And then it was really during the time that I was in my MBA, I was like, okay, let's really try to make something happen. If I can make it happen, if I can start my own business, great. If not, let's just get a corporate job. So that's, again, I'll save the rest of the story to a later.
So that was kind of the moment. And did you do the full-time MBA? Like, so you had to quit your job and go do that?
I decided to do part time just because for the full time, it's very literally you wouldn't have too much time to do anything else. It's like each quarter is it will be very busy. I just don't think there will be too much time for you to do. I mean, yeah, I guess one can argue you could, but for me, I know that the part time give me more flexibility because I can pause and start whenever I want. I don't have to take like at least I think 3 courses a quarter or something. You know, so it just very flexible for me. So that's why I did the evening.
Yeah, got it. So you're doing your MBA, and like you said, you could go into finance now that you have like a degree from a very prestigious business school. But
Hmm.
you obviously made the decision to jump back in the ring, start your ramen shop. So what was the key decision that gave you the confidence to do that as opposed to using the MBA to leverage it for a different corporate job?
Well, so as I was doing MBA again, I think I got more and more confidence, and now you're like, okay, you kind of learn, like first of all, it's already about it's 5 years later from the first time I want to do my want to do the ramen shop. You learn more, and then you are mentally more mature. And so again, at that time I was like, all right, I really want to do something because I think to me another reason I want to do the part-time is because I feel like start your business during a program like MBA is the best time, in my opinion, because again, if you fail, guess what? You have a good story to tell during your interview, right?
It's
And
true.
usually, interviewer they love it, and they like how. I mean, to me, I think it showed that you are confident. You're pursue, like you got balls to pursue things that matter to you. So I got more from a knowledge perspective. I feel I have more knowledge, and financial wise, I think I have a little bit more money that I can, waste. I guess and also just because the most important is I feel like it's different from last time because this time if I fall, something will catch me, and that thing is a very attractive corporate job. So that making me super sure that okay, I gotta do it now, and I gotta do it before I graduate. So literally, I can't. I feel like start a business is so risky, but to me, it was hedged or protected by by the school. So I was actively looking for different programs. I mean, different things to do. And one of those days, I was just having a food with my friend, and she was like, you always want to search for. different. Cause I almost got into a bubble tea business. I
Oh yeah.
also, yeah, I love bubble tea, and almost get into a bubble tea business, but it didn't work out. Anyway, so I was having dinner with my friend. She was like, you know, you love ramen. Why don't you do a ramen shop? I was like, well, it's very complicated. It's very difficult. It's very tough job. Like you got cause for like for ramen, oftentimes you got to cook the soup for 2 days. Like for doing the tonkatsu. I'm like, you're surrounded by a lot of heat. You give up your holiday and all of that kind of stuff. So I was like, it's not a good fit. And mm. so end of the night, I went to sleep. I tried to go to sleep, but the thing was I couldn't sleep because I know all the things I told her that opening a ramen shop was a bad idea. Were just excuses that I kind of told myself to make myself feel better. But I'm like, no, you can't do that. It's like doing a bubble tea business. How is that different doing from doing a ramen shop? So, and think about by now, I already I already quit my job in 27. I mean, I already quit a steady job in 2017. And I know also like I can get a corporate job if my business idea didn't happen. So this time it didn't take me very long time to restart to get things going again. So I started because I saved all my notes, on OneNote, all the things I learned back then in 2017. I kind of just started over, and I started inviting people to my place to try the ramen. I try to search for different suppliers and try to see if I get a sample, and then they were like, "Oh, you need a business, an LLC, like a EIN, all kind of stuff." All right, this is perfect time. Let's just
Yeah.
go get all the paperwork done. And then of course, like now you gotta talk about money. You gotta figure out right all the things, all the knowledge that you didn't really have. And so during the day I will try to study recipe. During the nighttime I will try to just get finance together and figure out the money part. And yeah, and then just spend about good 6 months try to crafting the recipe and stuff. And then when I feel like I almost got that finalized, I decided to get actually a location and stuff. But trust me, it was very, very hard during that time. Every day I want to quit because, one day you gotta, like LinkedIn says, this guy is starting a new job, at this private equity firm and stuff like that. But
Oh
another
yeah.
day, this person got promoted
Yeah.
to like senior manager and stuff. But you're like, oh man, I'm still nowhere. I'm still like like I'm still nowhere close to where I want to be. But what kept me going was when customers or friends or strangers they try my food, they love it. That was the thing that made me feel what I was doing was meaningful. I wasn't like a machine just finishing job. Like I'm creating something that people love. And like we said long time ago, right? When you do things that you love, you feel happy, even though the money, you don't necessarily make the money, and so I didn't make no money at that time. I was keep putting in money to try to have people try that food. Like I didn't ask people to pay, like this much money to come in to participate and stuff. And but I found a lot of joy from hosting that and having people try the food. And that was, again, I kind of just catch that momentum and just kept going. And eventually found the location and started the shop.
Yeah. And so when you found that location and you opened it up, did you have customers right away? Like, what were those early days like right after you started it? Is that like when things took off, or what was that process?
Okay, so the first 2 days or so, it was very busy. It was very busy. I was like, man, if this is how things are, I'm gonna get rich very soon, But then, of course, like most of the customers who came in are your families, your friends, and and you're all the people you know. So they come to support you. But after you finish that, oh, it was very, very quiet. It was very, very quiet. But then I was already prepared because I know because I didn't expect to make money or having a good cash flow within the a positive cash flow within the 6 months. So I already reserved the money, like for that for actually for a whole year. So um in a way I'm like, okay, because I didn't have a lot of restaurant experience, so that's why for me, I know I have enough money that will help me stay survive. And now, so compared to some other restaurant that when they open, they will just aggressively promoting their business. For me, I actually did the opposite. I spent a very good 6 months to a year or so to learn from our customers and and learn what they like, what they don't like, and kind of improve ourselves. Just because I already did some marketing and stuff, before I started business, but I feel when you actually spend more time with your real customer, you get a lot of more good information. So I was there every day that when we were open, chat with customers, take care of all the customers who walk in, and then improve our recipe. So at that time, we are also building our team. So as we are building our team, we also little by little we also got more traction. People like, oh man, there's a new ramen shop, but I never heard of it. It's good. They start telling their friends about our ramen shop, and because again, we at first since we didn't have a lot of customer, we were able to serve the best quality, build a good reputation, improve our recipe, and so we were able to impress quite a good customers. They started telling their friends. We got more business, and I was then at the time when as time progressed, I feel we were ready, so we started promoting ourselves a little bit more on the Instagram, and there were also different people came to check it out, and oftentimes they were impressed because nobody really knows this place, but actually they have some of the best ramen in Chicago. And just things just happen one after another. Different people come to check, and industry people, but also just regular consumers come to try the food. And yeah, just little by little, which is kind of the first year, yes, it sucked because it was slow, but we really used time to, I guess, improve ourselves internally so that we'll be ready when the crowd comes. And then we just kind of build a good customer base, and then yeah, just little by little, kind of just got more and more customers.
No, that's great. Uh, So, you know, you've obviously had quite a journey, and as you look back on it, like, you've been someone who kind of started it twice. Like, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about starting something, whether that's a business or a new job or whatever, and they're thinking about doing it, but they maybe aren't quite ready to do it? What advice would you give to them?
Well, like, okay. Um, so some people will say, right, like, um, when like fall fast, fall big, right? Like, and all of that kind of stuff. And, or, like, you gotta, if you have something, just try to do it. If you fail, whatever. But for me, I think, um, if you really have something, you can do it, but make sure definitely you have a plan. But also, not only have a plan, but also know your risk appetite. I think this is very, very important. For me, I never consider myself as a risk taker, but I know how I can get comfortable. And that's for me, in my example, it would be going to get my MBA, right? Like for me, like I just feel like because all of us when we face with uncertainties, oftentimes we feel scared. But find a way about how you can get comfortable from dealing with uncomfortable situation, whether is work with your partner, make sure you guys are on the same page, or work something out with school, and I mean not school, with your job, that maybe they can have you work maybe 20 hours a week or something like that. But then and try to do something meanwhile, because for me, like, I quit my job just like, just without thinking too much, which I don't always suggest, because sometimes it can fall pretty hard. So that's why I think the best way to find your risk appetite and find a way to try your business ideas without, without, I guess, in a way, hurting yourself too much.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. So we want to give people a chance to find you. So where online can they find Rudy's Ramen?
Well, we are in Chicago, and yeah, we're in Chicago. We are on Milwaukee and Division. I'm not on social media as I should, to be honest, and sometimes I just have too much stuff to do. I wish I can be a little bit more active on social media, but oftentimes I'll spend time on at a ramen restaurant. I'll be chatting with customers, checking with them, and yeah, and honestly, love to meet new people, love to help everyone out, because I think start your own business is a lonely journey. It is very, very lonely, because oftentimes people don't understand how much stress you will be dealing with every day. I feel like there issues come up. Um so sometimes if people want to talk with anyone, I'm more than happy to talk, more than happy to help with what I can, because I think it's a small community that um, I mean, for those people who want to start their own business, that yeah, I love to support with what I can.
Yes. Yes. No, I love it. I love it. That's great. This has been a fantastic conversation, Rudy. A very inspiring story. So you should be really proud of what you've accomplished. It's awesome. So really appreciate the time. We'll definitely stay in touch. And when I'm in Chicago, I will definitely be hitting up Rudy's Ramen.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, like just I'll be here, and I also have LinkedIn. I mean,
Perfect.
if
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
feel free to connect on LinkedIn and stuff as well. Yeah, and love to, of course, love to cook you or anyone, some ramen, because I think in a way, food is not only make you full, but also it makes you happy, in my opinion. And like as we cook things to make other people happy, like we feel happy.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rudy. All the best, and we'll chat soon.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Steven. Thank you for having me today.